What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about the best investment to make in the military at every rank, or the best investments to make at every rank in the military, however you want to look at it, right? I gotta say that both ways for YouTube SEO, so they pick up on it and it matches the title and it helps this video get some more traction. The other thing that helps is if you smash that like button, subscribe, comment down below, engage with it, share it with your friends, whatever. This is one that has been requested for a little while, and at first I was like, oh, it really depends, because it's not so much at every rank as it is at every step in the financial game, right? Like an E3 who inherited $200,000 is gonna have a totally different investment strategy than a O2 who or O1 who just commissioned and has no money even if they get paid more, right? But now I will say that I've got notes in front of me on the phone here because I wrote all this out. Surprisingly, there's a lot of similarities and a lot of fluid things that I think apply to everybody. But the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk through the E1 to E3s, and there's 8 things that I think you should do here in this level. So the first, TSP. At bare minimum, you need to be doing the matching contribution, which is 5%, so that you get that full match from the government. Got a ton of videos on this. I'm not gonna go into a ton of detail on any of these things, but just know that if you're not doing that, you're leaving money on the table, a literal, government guaranteed 100% return on investment the moment you contribute the money. Number 2, pay off any bad debt. So credit cards, high interest rate debt, anything over 6-7% interest that you have loan on, credit card, personal loans, whatever, just focus on paying that stuff off, because that's a great return on investment. You want to get out from under that debt so that you can have more money to invest elsewhere. Then you're going to want to avoid taking on new bad debt for any reason. And after that, what you're going to want to do is create an emergency fund for 1 month's worth of expenses, right? At least 1 month. Now you can do more than this if you're conservative, but if you have at least 1 month's worth of expenses covered, then you don't have to worry about, if you have a flat tire or you need to replace all 4 of your tires or little things like that. You don't have to swipe the credit card. You can just pay for it and then reimburse your emergency fund, which is the more secure way to do it. Or if you have to buy a last minute ticket to fly home, whatever. Number 5, invest in improving your credit score, so that paying off the bad debt, having credit history, having a credit card that you use once a month and pay off and pay off and pay off all the way at the end of the month is a good way to do this. But having a good credit score will set you up for success in all of your later endeavors with real estate or anytime you do any kind of financing. Number 6 is avoid buying a new car. No Mustangs, no Camaros, no Chargers, no Jeep Wranglers, if you're gonna buy that stuff, buy it, that's fine, but 5 to 10 years old with low mileage, well-maintained, good maintenance records, already depreciated in value, so you're buying it once it's kind of stabilized a little bit in price and it's not gonna just drop out from under you after you're paying interest on it, right? I see too many people go underwater on cars or lose money on cars that they don't even really need. I mean, realistically, your first duty station or 2, you could probably just carpool with buddies or walk everywhere, especially if you end up somewhere like Japan. You can just walk everywhere, or honcho, no big deal. So just make sure that if you do buy a car, you buy it the right way. And I've got a video on how to do that. Number 8, and this might seem a little counterintuitive to investing, but become the best in your shop. Make yourself meritorious material. And the reason I say this is you're already working for the military, so if you can get promoted quickly, you will get paid more for the same amount of time spent at work, which is a great return on investment, because then you can take that and invest it elsewhere. So try to get yourself promoted, make sure you're very promotable, you get meritorious, whatever the case may be, just to ensure that you're set up for success in the long run. Okay, now we move on to the E4, E5 in the Marine Corps. This is your NCOs, your non-commissioned officers. And so the first thing you're gonna wanna do, again, TSP. And I didn't mention this at the beginning, at least the maxing or the matching, but as much as you possibly can that you're comfortable with, the more you put in at a young age, like an E1 who's 17 or 18, contributing to their TSP, that money is more valuable than anything anyone else in the military can invest as far as the TSP goes, because it will have longer to compound before retirement, which is amazing. So the more you can put in at an early age, the better. And then you can kind of lay back as you get older and invest that money in other things that'll pay for your early retirement rather than just your 65 retirement, 60 retirement. But yeah, E4, E5. Still contributing that TSP. A good way to increase this as you go is every time you get a pay raise, so every time you get promoted or have a time in service pay raise, increase that that contribution. So like if you get a 3% pay raise, increase your contribution to TSP by 1 or 2%. You know, maybe you alternate. Maybe one time it's 1%, next time it's 2%, whatever. And it'll slowly increase, but you're still getting more pay, so you don't really notice it. And before you know it, you'll be putting in 20, 30, 40%. I put in 60% my last year. Okay, number 2, maintain those low levels of bad debt. Don't take out debt you don't need. Number 3, take your 1-month emergency fund and bump it to 3 to 6 months. That'll give you a ton of cushion for all kinds of life's emergencies, which is just a really good tool. And especially if you're getting close to EAS or transitioning out of the military, that's a really smart move to have that runway, because transition is just a pain in the ass. All right, now if you're eligible for BAH, house hack. Oh, we good? All right, you spooked me for a second. So if eligible for BAH, house hack. Now I got a ton of videos on house hacking, but basically you're buying a house where you can rent other bedrooms or rent other units to other people and they will pay your mortgage. And then if you're not eligible for BAH because you live in the barracks, then eat at the chow hall more than you eat out and try to save as much money as you can, right? You can side hustle on the weekends, whatever, just find a way to save that money so that you can reinvest it to pay dividends down the road. All right, number 5, continue invest. Did I even mention that one? Oh, I forgot on the first one, I said educate yourself on investing. So on this one, continue investing in your self-education. So at all of these levels, and this is one that's kind of a running theme, you should always be listening to podcasts, reading books, learning about whatever investment strategy you might want to utilize, and being able to understand those different investment strategies in order to make sure that you're covered, right? You want to continue the education side. And if shameless plug, we got the Military Millionaire podcast, great place to start. I got a book, also a good spot to start. You know, education is a great tool. All right, the E6 to E9, the staff non-commissioned officer levels. House hack with a VA loan, absolutely amazing. Make sure that you buy it as an investment property, not just a house. Tons of videos on that. Do it, it'll change your life. Number 2, TSP. You should be continuing to increase. This is a recurring theme, that TSP is money, use it. If you're maxing that out at this point because of your pay, then also a Roth IRA, which is like a TSP, but the civilian side, you only put in $6,000 a year, but another tax advantaged, great account that's very passive. You just put the money in and let it do its thing. Number 4, continue avoiding that expense creep. So now that you're making a little bit more money, you can live a little bit larger, but don't eat it all up. So if you got a $1,000 pay raise, save $300 of it. Now you're still making $700 extra a month that you can enjoy, but you know, don't spend all 1,000, right? Just try to stay living below your means more and increase that savings gap. The more of your paycheck you can save, the faster you'll be able to achieve financial independence. Okay, number 5, index funds. If you're doing the TSP, you're doing the Roth IRA, and you need somewhere to stick some extra cash that's still very passive, J.L. Collins, who we've had on the podcast, wrote a book called Simple Path to Wealth. I love it. It is index funds. You just dollar cost average into index funds, meaning you contribute the same amount every single month, no matter what the market's doing, consistently, and you'll get rich. It works. I got plenty of friends who are doing very well. This is one of their strategies. I got a friend who almost all of his wealth, majority of his wealth is index funds and TSP, and he is trying to outspend his growth because his net worth is too close to $5 million, and if he breaks that threshold, he'll have to pay, his kids will have to pay estate tax and stuff when he passes away. And so he's literally trying to spend or utilize or gift more money so that he can stay below that threshold. And these are doing well enough that it's made it very difficult for him. So it works. Again, avoid the bad debt, and continue learning about investing. Now we're going to move on to the 01 to 03, lieutenant to captain, and the warrant officer to chief warrant officer 2 ranks. Now I put these together because they're just kind of similar spots in life, right? Whether you're an 01, 02, 03, or a chief warrant officer, or a warrant officer, or chief warrant officer 2, you're going to be kind of similar financially and experience level and freedom levels, right? So a lot of these are similarities, right? Again, house hack with the VA loan, investment, not a house, TSP as much as possible, pay off any bad debt. Now I put this one back in here as pay off because you may have accrued some bad debt, at college or whatever if you're a young officer. So just making sure you pay that down. And then the Roth IRA, in addition to the TSP, avoid that expense creep. Like, try to live that E5 lifestyle. You don't need to live this lavish, I'm a lieutenant, look at me lifestyle, or oh my goodness, chief warrant officer bought a GTR, whatever, right? So try to live, and again, don't get me wrong, like I got a good friend who has a GTR and still does very well financially. So just, you can make these decisions, just make sure you're making the right decisions and then buying toys rather than buying your toys and never investing in your future, right? Yeah, so let's see. So avoid expense creep. Number 6, index funds again. Number 7, educate yourself on investing again. Number 8, here's one that is a little different. If you're coming out as the officer side, check out the career starter loan and then use it to invest in something with a positive ROI and low risk. Not a new vehicle that's gonna depreciate, that's not the move. But if you used it to, like if you bought kind of a fixer-upper house and you used the career starter loan to renovate it in a way that would actually increase the value, that might be a good use. Or maybe you still VA house hack and then you use the career starter loan as a down payment on a property somewhere else that cash flows. Or you lend it to somebody as private money. So you borrow the $30,000 or whatever it is, you lend it to somebody at 10% interest who's doing a project, or 8% interest, but you're paying 2 to 3% interest, you're arbitraging that debt, you're making the difference. There's a lot of ways here, but the key is to use it on an asset or something that'll appreciate. Even if you just stick it in an index fund, long term, that will definitely outpace the interest rate that those career starter loans get because they're super low interest. So, take it, utilize it, and really, really, really enjoy that process. All right, 03 and Chief Warrant Officer 3 and beyond, because let's be real, there's not a 9-star general. There's no brigadier general, lieutenant general, major general, or general watching this video who doesn't already know something about finances, right? The odds are that if you're at that level, you're doing just fine. So they're probably not paying any attention to this. But we're gonna just say 03 and Chief Warrant Officer 3 and beyond. So first things, house hack with the VA loan. Now, I know, again, investment, not a house. Understand that you probably have a family, might be difficult. So maybe an ADU or a live-in flip, meaning you buy a house that needs some work, you update it, then you sell it when you leave because you lived in it for 2 years. Cumulatively of the last 15, you'll not have to pay capital gains tax. And yes, I said 15 because if you're still active duty, it's 15-year exemption, 2 out of 15 instead of 2 out of 5. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, capital gains tax, you can avoid it, so you can actually make some good money off that live-in flip. Or you do the ADU, so you put another unit in the back, separate, detached, let someone rent that, or you rent that and let someone rent the main house. There are ways to house hack that make sense even with a family. Number 2, TSP. At this point in your career, you can afford to max out your TSP, so you should be maxing it out every single freaking year. You could do the math and set the percentage to what you want it to be so that it's exactly the same every 12 months or whatever, and you max it out. Or you could just make it the maximum percentage you're able to justify contributing every month. Like I was at 60% last year, and then mine capped out in September. In the next 3 months, had I not gotten out of the Marine Corps in October, that next 3 months, I would have been able to enjoy all that money coming into my bank account for a little bit instead of going to the TSP. So whatever, but max it out. Maintain low levels of bad debt. Continue avoiding expense creep. Index funds, index funds, index funds, super passive, great way to invest. You can also look at like real estate syndications, another passive way to invest. Happy to talk to you about that if you've got some questions. I've helped some people out with some of those. Private lending, there's a lot of good options here. And then let's see. Yeah, continue educating yourself on investing. And then here's a different one for the 03 and 203 and up. And really anyone and everyone should do this, but just their network is going to be full of people who are, you know, doing all right. So begin focusing on your network. It could be a great place to raise capital down the road. So what I mean by that is, you know, tell people what you're learning about, tell people what you're doing, tell people about the investing you're doing. If you get out of the military and you've got a whole network of 03, 04, 05, 06, 07s that have money and they're still active duty and they don't have time, or they've retired and they have money and they just don't care to spend time investing, they can be a great place to raise capital to help fund your deals, which is a great opportunity for them as well. So, you know, start working on that network and telling people what you're doing. There are people out there who have money that will be interested. So running themes throughout this, I think TSP is very important. I think house hacking is an amazing way to start in real estate. Passive investing in like syndications, index funds, private lending, also great. Building your network, getting promoted quickly, all things that are very valuable. And a lot of this is very similar, simple steps every step of the process, right? Becoming a millionaire or getting rich in the military isn't this super complex, crazy thing. It's simple. You just have to do the work. That's it. So, you know, keep your expenses low enough that you can afford to invest every month, every year, and you will be all right. So I hope you got something out of this. You guys have been asking for this video. Comment down below what I missed or what you think is the best pointer here. And then, yeah, make sure you like and subscribe and have a great day.